This is Investment Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Daily live streaming interactive. Featuring Mrs. Backup. Subscribe, hit the notification, smash the likes. Now, here's Backup Brad Kimes. Come on in.
All right, what's happening, everybody out there? We got the crew together. Now, we're down one, but he may be here. He's a busy guy. So just to let you guys know, we are waiting a little bit for Kurt. He may join us. We'll have to see how it goes, right? We know he's a busy guy. So we do have, however, Lee from SPQR Media here today. Absolutely. Mickey B. Fresh, who will be here without picture, but we're glad he's here because he's got a lot of stuff to share with us today. Hello to everybody and everyone. How are you guys doing?
I'm fine. I am dandy, mate. I am absolutely dandy.
Absolutely. Mickey, how about you? How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. These are exciting times, Brad. Very exciting.
They are exciting times. So just to give a little brief overview, obviously we have made this a big deal to everybody that we want to share this information. And there's a lot to do to get clear, no doubt about it. And we're going to do some of that today. So before we hop into things, I do want to share something and just let everybody know some of the topics that we're going to discuss will be XRP backed stable coin announcement by Kava Labs. We will try to help the community understand better and sort out how it works, as well as the difference between the different USDXs out here and the different possible use cases and how it will impact overall XRP price and utility. That's what we're going to try to get into today, guys. And before we do that, I think it's best that we start off with a little picture here that we have had set up that we want to share with everyone. Let me see if I can make this go right today without messing the flow up for all of us. Okay, so if you guys would be so kind to make sure you confirm we got the picture up. You see it? Okay, we're good. The picture's up. Okay, so what I have here for everybody to see before we get into this is a definition basically of what a cryptocurrency needs, right? So I contend that there are 4 features that a cryptocurrency needs in order to become global, fiat-free digital cash. 1 is price stability, 2, scalability, 3, privacy, 4, decentralization. Collateral is not held by a single entity like Tether. None of the current stablecoin projects have all 4 of these features, but some are aiming to offer all of these. Scalability and privacy are likely further out, but the stable, decentralized crypto assets are possible today. So that's where we're going to start right there, ladies and gentlemen. Let me bring us back to the regular screen now, and we are going to open up the floor to Mickey B. Fresh, who's done a really good job of just finding this stuff. And we're just going to have a conversation about this stuff, guys, and just let the conversation flow where it goes. And I think we're all going to learn a lot about the real potential for XRP. Mickey B., you want to start off wherever you're comfortable?
Absolutely. So I want to start off with explaining the difference between what most of us are used to knowing is stablecoin, which is Tether, which is backed by fiat currency. That's typically used on exchanges to go in and out of Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, and that's typically its main use case. But there's a lot of other use cases that can be introduced if you change some of the properties of the stablecoin. So, for example, USDX, which is the XRP-backed stablecoin, is decentralized versus Tether, which is centralized.
Correct.
They both use USD as a unit of account, and that will keep it so that everything's even. We're all going by the same unit of account, so everything's the same. Unlike cryptocurrency, where it's valued in a volatility of price. Where stablecoins, it's stable. You know, if you send this across the globe, it's going to be the same price when it gets there.
Right.
And now what that allows would be
And take your time, because I know it's a lot of information too, by the way.
Hang on, I'm just trying to pull up the screen.
No, you're totally good. So right now you're just breaking down the different types of stable coins and some of the flaws that we find within a stable coin, and you take it wherever you want from there, for sure.
Okay, I'm just going to pull up the picture.
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way,
right, so let's just go an overview of the 4 different categories of stablecoins so we can understand them before we really get into it.
There we
go.
go.
You have your fiat-backed stablecoins, which is Tether. You have your commodity-backed tokenized gold. Now you have Signore style, which are algorithm, which there's nothing actually backing the coin. It's all a balancing of algorithms. Mm-hmm. And then you have, finally, your cryptocurrency-backed stablecoins, which are what USDX is.
Right.
And now what makes those unique, let me pull it up.
That's really great. I love the diagrams. I think the visuals are really great for the audience. I got to be honest.
No, it helps understanding and gives us a foundation to start upon, because people tuning in, some are experienced.
That's right.
And crypto community for a number of years. Some of them are new. And when I come into the crypto community, when I first started, I didn't know everything. I still don't know everything now. I'm not perfect, but I just appreciate Mickey sharing the insight with the audience. So thanks, Mickey.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So the biggest difference from Tether is the decentralization of it, the ability that you're able to transport this without it being censored. It doesn't go through U.S. regulations, say Circle. Nobody has to audit the amount of value in reserve, where the collateral is already there with the XRP given. So it's not established by the issuer.
Right.
So it's a decentralized protocol. And I think that's the biggest thing that will open up a whole new array of use cases for stablecoins that Tether just can't do.
Right.
So the market hasn't really been exposed to a stablecoin like USDX will be.
Right. And can you talk a little bit about just like with Circle and the problems they had with the stablecoin there and the regulation issues just for a second too while we're there, Mickey?
Absolutely. So with Circle's stablecoin, the United States government put strict regulations on it. They said which countries they could use it in. They said they had to audit every month. It just tied their hands to where they can't really use it as they wanted to.
Right.
They had to get AML, KYC on every transaction. It was almost like 2 times on the transaction.
Yes.
To the point where Circle just laid off 80 people. Yeah. So they weren't able to fulfill what they set out to do. That's why you haven't heard much about that. Even Coinbase, they share the same centralized coin.
Yeah. This is very interesting. Okay, keep going.
And also on top of that, you're backing it with fiat, which it's just a representation of it. It's really not even a backing. It's an IOU of an IOU.
Exactly.
So in the long term, it's stable, but it's not a long-term solution.
Right, because it's still subject to everything that is flawed about regular fiat to begin with.
Exactly. And with the decentralized protocol, it's fully transparent. Everything is recorded on blockchain, just like Bitcoin. So you get all the features of, say, XRP, but with the stability of the price.
Exactly. And that's what we got to really understand, because there's much deeper implications and things that are going to take place because of that particular model, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And that's one thing where this came into about. Let me just switch the screen.
Yep.
All right, we're going to go into how it actually works as a basic explanation as I can without trying to cause more confusion. And it's not easy to wrap your head around.
Right.
But once you visualize it and you see how it works, I think people will slowly understand that this is much bigger than people realize.
Yes,
and it's going to have a huge impact on XRP.
There we go. There we go.
Yeah, we don't short our loads just yet, boys, yeah?
Yeah, exactly.
Build up into it, eh?
Yeah, that's right. Take them out to dinner first. That's right.
Killing me, Climsy.
Oh,
So
man.
the USDX coin is developed by Kava Labs, which is an X-Spring startup,
Yes.
which is funded by Ethan Beard, and Kava is one of like 7 different startups working on all similar use cases, which is interoperability between IRP to traditional finance systems. And the actual USDX stablecoin that's backed by XRP is built on the Cosmos Tendermint blockchain. But it's developed by Kava Labs. It's a protocol.
Got it.
Nobody owns it. They're developing it, and in time, it's going to be an open protocol. So it will be fully decentralized.
Right.
Which is,
amazing.
A tough thing to accomplish. They have ambitious plans, and they've been very humble about it.
Totally. Now, real quick, and we'll talk about this later, but just as a side note, Ethan Beard, where did he used to work?
Ethan Beard worked from 2003 to around 2009 for Google, and then after Google, he left and worked for Facebook. Oh. He was a senior vice president of partnerships and integrations into Facebook OneConnect. So this is somebody who's funded and dealt with the biggest of tech companies all over the world to integrate into Facebook. And then he came over to Ripple in March 2018 to head X-Spring, which was funding startups that would find new use cases for XRP. And in the beginning, they said they were focusing on cross-border payments, but in the last few months, there's been a drastic shift. And now all the startups, Kava, Dharma, Compound Finance, Alt Labs, are all focusing on interoperability and decentralized exchanges.
Right.
And Kava is focusing on this protocol to mint stablecoins using XRP as a backing.
Okay.
Which is a genius idea.
It is a genius idea. So, Mickey, before we go any further, let me just jump in here and ask you to clear up the USDX wallet, the USDX ICO abandoned Korean company, and then the USDX. And what did they say that the name was? A placeholder name?
Yes. So the name temporarily right now is USDX, but it is just a placeholder. There's 2 other projects out there with the identical name. USDX Wallet, which is a completely unrelated project. Okay. And then there was a USDX protocol, which failed to launch their ICO and has since dissolved.
There you go.
But there is information online about that, so it is very easy to get confused if you start to search this up on Google.
Why, one could even think that it was intentional, couldn't they?
They very well can.
That is how it works sometimes. Okay, so moving on. Obviously, so what we're seeing here is the USDX, right? The Kava coin for now with the placeholder name. It's collateralized by XRP. It'll be a stable coin paired to the US dollar for now, right?
Yes, the peg, it's a soft peg. We don't have all the details on the percentage that can be collateralized or if it has to be over collateralized. But the information that I was told, it's going to be probably down to 100%, where other projects out there like MakerDAO, you have to over collateralize 200%. Where this, you're going to be able to get down to that 100% collateral, which is almost the holy grail of stablecoins.
Right. Okay. So now real quick, Lee, is there anything that you want to address in here so far, like to either bring it to the audience or a question for the audience or yourself?
Well, there was an interesting point, really, just about collateralizing an XRP position into because obviously this is really basic, guys, yeah? But basically, it's pegged 1-to-1 to the US dollar. It's a soft peg, we're being told by Kava, yeah? So basically, what you can do, you can collateralize your XRP positions. Let's say you had 1,000 XRP people, yeah? You can move USDX and then you can then move that out and trade other assets. So you can purchase, I don't know, anything really, stocks,
more XRP,
FR, tokenized gold, so on and so forth. We'll go into this further, but can you just explain to the people what, I know the answer, Mickey, but like it might be useful for some people who don't know what a collateralized debt position means?
A collateralized debt position is basically a loan. You're putting up your XRP locked up in a vault on the XRP ledger with 64 signature security, and then you're going to receive the equal amount of value in USDX stablecoins pegged to $1. Now with that, there's many things that can be done. You could also loan that out and earn interest on it, where somebody else could use it and you hold the risk of using your XRP as collateral. Mm-hmm. So that's one use case. It could be used for P2P payments. But the biggest thing about it is typically when people want to not hold their XRP anymore, they're going to go and sell it. They need fiat. They need cash. They're going to be just sell out some. But now you could lock it up without putting sell pressure on the XRP price. And that's the biggest thing. And that's the retail side now. Then you could have the institutional side who could put up half XRP and then use it as a hedging tool without having to sell into the market. And now you're locking up this XRP, which takes it out of the circulating supply, which are all beneficial things that will increase XRP's price and make it less volatile, because now it's getting another use case, which is store of value.
Yeah.
So it's definitely moving into a store of value, as well as the utility that it has to solve the interoperability global cross-border payments problem, which I can see is the original bottleneck, and everything stems out from underneath that. Mickey, what's interesting here is like looking out over this project and understanding that it is being collateralized by XRP and then using a stable coin float to the dollar. Can you talk about how we're getting the strongest elements of what makes a great currency by bringing the best elements into this equation? Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yes, absolutely. So we keep USD as the unit of account, which is the global unit of account, and it is used by central banks for their reserve.
Right.
Now, what we do, the biggest difference here is you remove fiat as the store of value backing the asset, and you replace it with XRP without being exposed to its volatility.
I love
and
it.
Now you keep the medium of exchange is this new token, USDX, which is going to be able to handle up to 100,000 transactions per second.
Right.
So what they have done is created the ultimate function for each one. They've taken the best of XRP, the best of fiat as a unit of account, and a new fast token, which isn't on a congested blockchain, which can move freely. And now you have the ultimate form of money.
Exactly. And now, just real quick, if I could, so what it looks like is this giant catch-all, right? Liquidity
Correct.
pool
Yep.
catch-all that's happening. Okay, let me throw it to Lee. Lee, what do you got? Anything on that real quick?
Well, what's quite interesting for me, is about people who can increase their balance sheet from their XRP holdings.
Right.
That's what, if I think I can go into USDX and then I can, let's say, increase my XRP holding by 70% and actually have the win-win of both sides, because if it's pegged to the US dollar, obviously we've got the stability of the US dollar. But then, obviously, if XRP moves in the meantime, you're only replacing when you release your XRP.
Exactly.
The USDX.
That's right.
Which is obviously pegged. So you've got the optimum of both cases, basically. You can shoot up both sides, and it's like the double trading almost, yeah?
Absolutely.
So I like that. And I like the idea about the decentralized validators with the 1% interest.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's affordable and God, where can you get a loan for 1% nowadays?
Exactly. There you go. There you go.
So can you explain to us how you think the decentralized network will actually work?
That's what Kava is building. They're building all the portals that are going to be able to connect and build the liquidity for these markets. Because markets are going to have to be made for USDX.
Right.
With XRP, with other assets, and they're going to have to incentivize to get this going. It's not going to just go off naturally, but you need the interoperability base infrastructure laid out first before you can even attempt to do any of this. And this is why no one's really been successful. And you also need an asset that has value already, which is XRP.
Yeah.
So you need there's a lot of moving pieces going on, and that's what they're working on right now, but they're very quiet about it, and this is the first thing we've heard. And the possibilities are endless of what they could do, because this could change it could swallow up parts of the traditional financial markets. Because when you have a currency that's backed by not fiat, but is the unit of account of fiat, and it's stable, now countries like Argentina, who their currency is inflating through the roof, would be apt to use something like this, a crypto-backed stablecoin.
Totally.
And that's why I think Ripple's working with the IMF, and we'll get into that later.
Yeah.
But,
okay, so where do you want to go next, Mickey, before we get too far ahead here?
I think we should go into who Kava Labs is and what they're doing.
Great
That's
idea.
What we just talked about. So let's show them the video of Kava Labs and what they're working on.
You got it. I'm going to cue that up right now, guys. So here we go. So, guys, what we're going to see now is an introduction from Kava, and you're going to get the quick overview of exactly what's going on there. So let's watch that real quick, guys. And here we go. It's only a minute.
Interledger promises to connect all blockchains and digital networks together into a unified, seamless experience. Interledger makes scaling and interoperability possible by moving transactions off-chain while providing users with access to deep pools of shared liquidity for cross-currency transactions and seamless asset exchange. Integrating Interledger with blockchains, wallets, and exchanges is no easy task. Kava, the world's first Interledger solutions provider, works with partners to develop enterprise-grade integrations with Interledger and provides developers with the Kava API, an easy Interledger access point enabling Interledger transactions across major blockchain networks including Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, and many more. Kava is working with its partners to shepherd in the next evolution of blockchain technology, where all digital networks can finally connect and interoperate. Where other solutions are promising a future of interoperability, Kava is delivering it today.
There we go. So, yeah, that's a great little introduction video. Okay, Mickey, so where do you want to go from there? Let's go down into Kava a little bit. You've been talking to somebody at Kava, Mickey. Who's that been?
So I got lucky, and I was able to get in touch with the CEO at Kava, and I was able to pick his brain a little, and he gave some very, very interesting things away that were not available in the announcement.
Okay, let's talk about that.
So, well, we got the placeholder name from him.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
And just to clear that up real quick, guys, so that means that the USDX wallet company, the USDX ICO that was abandoned, that whole thing, they used the name USDX with Kava, and that is just really, it seems, you can't take anything else from that but the ability to confuse someone is what it really does appear. That's my speculation, but I don't mind walking out on that limb. What do you think, Lee?
I don't know. Obviously, a placeholder name, it gives them options moving forward to actually change the name without actually thinking about it.
Totally.
I think you had that discussion, Mickey, as well with him, that it is likely to be called something else in the future, which is probably going to be more Ripple-fied, I would imagine.
Yeah, absolutely. I just find it interesting they chose to use USDX as the placeholder name. That's what's so interesting to me. It's like, oh, of all the things you could have called it, test coin, you could have called it, you know what I mean? Anyway, we're not going to get stuck there.
There's one thing we got to keep in mind, that USDX is just one fiat that they could peg it to. They could make a Japanese yen peg coin. They could make a Chinese yuan, British, Great Britain. They could do a euro. They could do a Mexican peso. So they could go all over the world and create different ones for different countries.
And didn't we read this somewhere along the way, Mickey, in some of the literature?
He confirmed this.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So the CEO, Brian Kirk from Kava, actually confirmed that, which is why we're going to talk about now what we believe is we're seeing is the first original X pool. Is that not correct, guys? Isn't that what we think?
That's correct, because for this to work and succeed, there needs to be additional reserves backing all of this.
Yeah.
And that's where it's possible that a lot of that XRP being released could be going to.
Come on in. Look.
Where no other project could do that.
Yeah, I believe it. You guys believe it. You know it. We've been quiet about it pretty much. But the truth is, we believe we're seeing the first X pool being built right here before our eyes. Lee, let's have a comment on that if you could.
Yeah, I'm of the same mind. The thing when we started talking about currencies and stuff like that, and we then started theorizing about that, and then we had it confirmed, I was like, my mind blew immediately. Yeah. And then something then triggered the point in my mind to think, right, securitize securities. You've got Quorum, gold, you've got Guild 1, oil, and I'm thinking tokenization and backed by all these types of different assets, pegged by those assets, but backed by XRP. And then my mind started running 100 miles an hour, and I got excited in my own style, I admit. But yeah, it's absolutely mind blowing when it's this USDX, and when we started getting into the nuts and bolts of it, actually opened our mind to actually what's possible.
Absolutely. Okay, what do you got up here on the screen, Mickey?
So I just wanted to explain the size of the market that stable coins have an opportunity to obtain.
Okay.
You're talking $90 trillion. So this is even a bigger market than Bitcoin or XRP could go after. But what this is going after, it's still XRP behind it.
Right.
So it's an additional thing to add value to XRP. It's amazing.
Because this could bring the store of value to it. Because can we talk a little bit about how we can't have value without debt? Who wants to talk about that a little bit?
That's you, Lou.
Right, okay, value without debt. Well, basically, the first thing for me, not value without debt, that's not really my bag in all fairness. But what I would like to add is the scarcity factor.
Yeah.
Obviously, if everybody's collateralizing their XRP positions, where is that going? That's being held.
That's right.
That's
being held. You asked the question. It's on the XRP ledger in a reserve wallet.
Yes.
Yeah. And to Lee's point real quick, and like what I was talking about with the value to debt, is just simply that if we look at this model, the way they're laying this out, they're collateralizing the entire project with XRP, right? And they're going to do collateral debt positions based off of that and then lend you the stable coin hooked to the US dollar, right? So
correct.
What I see in this grand model here is that XRP is absolutely so coveted in the architecture of these framework projects that all of the risk doesn't lie on XRP. It relies on the dollar and the stable coins attached to it. That's, to me, shows me right out of the gate just how coveted this actual coin, this virtual coin, digital asset, XRP is. Lee, you want to go on that a minute?
Well, basically, what you're saying in terms of just the debt positions and et cetera, it's absolutely mind-blowing stuff with what's actually achievable now. We've been speaking to the Carver guy, and how the tech can work, the debt positions they can leverage, obviously increasing people's balance sheets. It's just absolutely mind-blowing stuff in all fairness.
It really is.
At this moment in time, I haven't got a great more deal to add. I have got a lot more to add further down the line.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to give it all away just yet, if that makes sense.
No, I totally get it, brother. And you just throw your hand up or cut in however you want. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're just shooting the breeze right here. Mickey,
Yeah.
where do you want to go next, Mickey? Let's keep it rolling, brother.
All right. How this connects into future tokenization and decentralized exchanges and the migration of the traditional finances over to the blockchain, there's going to be a demand for a currency like this. That's a stable coin that has the blockchain crypto properties, and that's stable that can buy stocks, securities, and all that, because they might not want to use Bitcoin if it's going 10% up in a day, 10% down the next.
Right.
You need something with the same properties that's stable.
Absolutely.
That's where an asset like this will have a high demand. And the higher demand it has it, the more they're going to have to mint, the more XRP that's going to have to go in.
Absolutely, because if it's collateralized, it's going to have to be held, and it's going to lock it up basically. And then it goes to Lee's point about how ultimately this adds to scarcity and about how that is going to affect price as well in the grand scheme. Go ahead, Lee.
Yeah, basically, and it also gives fiat a purpose in the short term.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, they're soft pegging it with, let's say, the USD to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
It's giving that fiat currency a purpose. But then what we will go on to later on, it gives them a way to actually claw the fiat in as well.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked and theorised about as well, but obviously we'll talk about that a little bit later.
Yeah.
But in the short term, it is going to give fiat around the world an actual purpose.
Again,
While blockchain technology and distributed ledger technology starts to slowly take over the world. I think it's the first progressive steps without actually changing the whole financial system over.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I definitely agree. Yeah, I definitely believe, to Lee's point before you get going on this too, Mickey, I definitely believe we are seeing the first framework of a brand new monetary system, an international monetary system, are we not? Mickey, where you want to go next? What do you got?
That is correct, because to do this successfully in the right way without disrupting the traditional, you have to work with the governments, work with the regulators, work with the IMF. Right. They need to understand how that fiat debt is going to flow into a system like this.
That's right.
And it has to be a slow flow. It can't come all at once in a wave. You're going to collapse the old system. But they do know that this is the future. They're aware of it. This is why they've moved away from fiat-backed stablecoins. You haven't heard anything about utility settlement coin, Settle, JPM. There's no real future for that. And they've realized this now.
Right.
So this is the solution. But only a asset like XRP could accomplish this. You need the network effects built in place already. You need extra reserves from the issuer, which is the escrow release.
Yeah.
You need a decentralized protocol connected through interoperability to traditional markets. So this all has to be built before they can actually launch it. And they're working on it right now. I mean, it's a little further along, I think, than people realize. It's not just an idea. It's already tested, it's feasible, it works, and you're going to hear soon about it.
How soon could we hear about it?
I'm not doing the prediction things. I don't want to get community. I'm not into that. I mean, I'm not going to go there. I mean, it's soon. We're going to get an announcement soon.
Yeah, I think, he did say soon. He did say soon. We'll leave it at that.
Soon. Yes. And now BTC could be mixed in here too. We didn't bring that up. It's XRP is the initial one, but BTC is integrated into the protocol as well.
Okay, so ultimately we may see a multiple basket of currencies collateralize this platform, is what you're saying.
Going there now, are you?
Here we go, guys.
Here we go. We're just going to ramp it up, guys.
I think we're going to change gears because it really does take us there, doesn't it? Now we're going there.
Naturally. It's.
Going.
I think when we were going down this route and this, let's say, rabbit hole, when Mickey Pitt was doing, let's say, the majority of the research, and we were adding to that. As soon as we started building this, there's these alarm bells going off in my head, and I'm thinking SDR, and I'm thinking basket of currencies, and it's just crying out. So, Mickey, what I'd like to understand in your mind is how that, let's try to visualize how that basket would work and operate.
The basket would represent the value. So instead of saying have just XRP, you could put BTC in there instead, but the actual basket of reserves behind it would be a little more complicated. They really didn't go into how they would do it, but they said it's feasible. So instead of just counting on one asset like XRP, you diversify, but that would have to come from the issuer, and the protocol would have to release that. Where people, if they you put in BTC, you're using that as collateral. It is possible you could put some BTC in and then some XRP in, and you could create your own basket.
Okay.
But it would have to come from the issuer. That's where the reserves would have to come from.
Okay.
They didn't really explain that. They just said that it's feasible.
It's feasible, right? So
it's feasible.
So long term, it like Lee's talking about here, long term, you can't help but if they're talking. And look, just to overview this again, it's like where we're seeing this here is if they talk potential long term, if this works, right? If this is the X pool that we believe we're seeing, and this works, and the USDX hook to the float of the US dollar works, they talked about doing this with the euro, the pound, the Japanese yen, and then we obviously, as Lee suggested here, we couldn't help but have a conversation about are we watching the electronic SDR basket be developed for the globe? Mickey, what are your thoughts after all what you've seen?
It's very well possible. I mean, they're going to start slow, but that quite well could be the end result here. This
right.
Technology and how it's done, the ESDR is going to be done this way. It might not be just XRP back then. Most likely it will not. But this is the basis for it. And they're going to let it build out. They're going to observe it. They're going to perfect it. And what's the best thing about this is it's a fully decentralized protocol. So no central bank's going to have the ability to just keep issuing and inflating.
Right. Right. So, and now I think it's a good time to go back and go again on the collateralized debt position again. Let's talk about that and go back into that again, if you guys don't mind, because now I think we're talking about what it's going to be potential long term, right? Not next Tuesday, but if all of this is working the way they want, this really looks like where it's going to go. But now we go back to the collateralized position or collateralized debt position, and understand that they're going to hang debt instruments and things off of XRP, right? Collateralized by XRP, and potentially in the long run, a basket of cryptocurrencies, not fiat, crypto.
Yeah, 100%. I totally agree. Yeah. Something interesting what I want to bring up just for us to discuss, just as a theory. Obviously, we know that the escrows are released once a month. There's a billion released from Ripple once a month for however many months there are left, 50, 52, and then whatever it goes back in the back end of it, regurgitates all the time. Yeah? What I was thinking, what could be potential, everybody's theorised that who owns, because David Schwartz has confirmed that someone could actually own those escrow releases, already. So obviously now we know we can collateralise an XRP position. Because they've got a contract in place for an escrow, what's your thoughts about them potentially collateralising their XRP position, which they're going to actually get in the future at today's price?
Mickey, you want to take that? Go ahead, take that, Mickey.
No, can you take that one?
Yeah, so you're talking about what I think about them collateralizing their bags going forward. I think that's exactly what's happening, and I think I would gladly take it. I think that's exactly...
I'm going to jump in.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I just wanted you to get going, and I have something I really want to say, but I just wanted you to explain it.
No, all I'm going to say is, not to explain it. I mean, I think it's where it is, but I definitely think that's what they're doing. They're pre-allocating the escrow. They know that they're going to use this for, it's almost like issuing the SDR or treasury bonds, to be honest with you, right? Because they're using this as collateral to get more money. You know what I mean? So it's
very true. They're going to flow the fiat debt into this system,
and that's
what they're going to try to do.
And that's what Right, and that's what I was talking about. You can't have value without debt, and this is how they do it in the back end of things that makes XRP more than a currency and really more than a digital asset. It's a commodity, ladies and gentlemen. It's a commodity, right? That's what's up with that. And it's unbelievable. It's a commodity with utility. It's unbelievable. It's now getting the utility like it had with oil and bringing the store of value of gold into it. And now you have an asset that has the properties of both gold and oil in the same asset.
Wow. Quick question, Mickey, before we go on, yeah? Because I don't actually know this. So it's not just going to be a question I'm going to pretend not to know, so be all get the answer. It's basically, obviously, we've got an XRP USDX coin, yeah, which is backed by XRP, which is pegged by the USD, yeah? Could we, in effect, have an XRP-backed coin that is being pegged with oil, being pegged with securities, being pegged with mortgages, being pegged with everything? So XRP will add the utility and the liquidity, but obviously you're going to have the commodity of that backing and that stable price. What's your thoughts on that?
Absolutely, that's too calm. But first, we got to build out the tokenized economy.
Right.
Yeah.
All that needs to be built, and this is what Xspring funded startups are doing. That's what they're all doing right now. They're building the platforms and the infrastructure to integrate the traditional markets into blockchain, and then you could do tokenization. But you need the stable currency there, and you need that to get the tokenization going. So that is the end game. It's 100%. But you can't just jump there. We need to build the infrastructure first and connect everything.
That's an important part to understand.
Very important.
Very important part to understand, because we have to understand this isn't next Tuesday, right? We're talking about it today, but this is a process, Mickey. I mean, this has really got to be built out, and it's people, and like you said, people have got to really come out now and buy up and create the USDX market.
Absolutely. This is why they're going to have to bootstrap market makers with incentives to get this going.
Great.
It's going to have to be set up perfectly, and my theory is they need the utility of a stablecoin. So they need users for that. And now, Lee, who would you think would be an ideal platform that would be able to use that for e-commerce, domestic payments, and that's looking for one right now?
Begins with an F, ends with a K.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to film it? You want to be a golden?
Can we say it? Can we say it? And before we do, guys, just to go into this, bootstrap was a term that the CEO used when talking with you, right, and sharing with us information. And I just want to define that for people: to get oneself or something into or out of a situation using existing resources. Come on in.
I'm stealing that.
Come on, you take it. Take it, brother. Take it. All right, Mickey B, so let's keep going. What do you got, my brother? Where do you want to go?
What's the next topic on the agenda? I mean, kind of went through this whole thing here. I mean, I still think that Ripple Net will play a role. I mean, the ecosystem is the network is the most important thing to make this work. It's not even about the protocol and all that. It's great, but once it's made, it's about the network and everyone coming together and using the product. XRP, though, I think is going to need a higher value. It could be why they're keeping it lower now, because they're building up this reserve pool while it's at a low price, and they're just feeding it into a reserve. So once they go live with that, they know they have, you know, how many, a couple of billion XRP just backing everything up. So people will feel safe, or institutions, that the peg is not going to deviate if XRP's price does drop 10% or something that week. You have extra reserves behind it.
Gotcha.
But you don't have to have the users over collateralized, because it would just start liquidating their USDX coin as a collateralized debt loses value.
So they
you
already
lose
Okay. So real quick, they already have like some systems in there in place to make sure that you can't over collateralize yourself, overextend yourself.
Yes, and there's another important part of it is that price feed. So when you go to exchange it, the market value of XRP, what is it? Who's going to determine that? And where are they going to get it from?
Right.
So they use these oracles, which then relay the price information. But what I found so fascinating is that NASDAQ just put up the XRP liquidity index. And that goes perfect with this, because there's your market price and liquidity to use within the protocol.
Look at you.
They can plug in with an API right to the Brave network and pull up the price information. And that's been a challenge for other projects, and it's already been solved.
Absolutely. That's amazing, because I actually talked to Bob Way about that on the interview I did with him, and he wasn't aware of that or couldn't speak on it because I was trying to get some definition on the matter. And now that we're digging down into Kava and we're seeing this, it does really come together quite nicely, doesn't it? It really does. You know, you're going to need to see the liquid index on this, where all the levels of liquidity are coming from, because it's going to come in the form of collateralized debt positions and more debt instruments being built off of that network, even through the USDX. I mean, it's pretty amazing what is about to be unleashed, you know what I mean, as this giant catch-all to begin to create this first enormous, I call it an X pool, you know, for XRP. It's incredible. I don't know what else to call it. You know,
exactly that. I totally agree. It's mind blowing what we're actually seeing in front of our eyes here and what is actually going to be possible. I can't say the time frames. It could be 2, 3, 5 years, but for this kind of madness, this has got to be a 5 to 10 year plan. I personally think. I think, yes, we are going to see adoption within the next 2 to 3 years, major adoption, but these things aren't happening overnight. This is too big. And it's just like, for instance, liquidity and XRP's liquidity. XRP just haven't switched on every fucking corridor in the world, have they? They've switched on one corridor.
Yeah.
Get that right. We're now actually servicing that corridor correctly. Yeah. We've got the right liquidity to supply that corridor. Right, now let's switch on the next one, and now the next one, and so on and so forth. And then what we're going to do is see larger and larger asset types. So eventually, I'd imagine we'll end up building up to, let's say, maybe a US Euro corridor, right. Maybe 3 years' time. I don't know. But again, we know that that's not where the real case is at this moment in time, but anything's possible.
Totally. I completely agree with that. Great stuff, Lee. All right, what do you got here, Mickey?
I found that doc about stablecoins, saying how would governments be able to decrease their deficits to pay down the debt?
Okay, great. I'm going to read this real quick because I know it's small print. In a global reserve fiat money system, GDP growth is dependent on growth in the stock of money, and almost all of the money in supply is created through the issuance of new debt. Most private banks, and then it's if the U.S., for example, tried to decrease its deficit and begins to pay down its debt, the supply of money would start to decrease, unless the decrease would be compensated by new debt issued by the private sector. The U.S. would probably go into a depression, and because the money is the global reserve currency, the world would go into a depression too, or it would need to abandon the dollar. In other words, the country responsible for serving as the stable reserve currency for the world would be perpetually in deficit. Go ahead, Mickey.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. I mean, they tell you right there that you can't just, take dollars out of circulation, because it would cause a vacuum and it would just collapse everything. But you could take that debt and move it into another debt collateralized
debt position
and create other forms of value, because you can't just make up value. It's got to be transferred. So they could transfer the debt out of fiat and into a new blockchain-based decentralized protocol,
Right.
which they can't then abuse and just issue and issue and issue. You can only you put in.
Absolutely. So again, we're seeing here value and debt. They go together. You can't have one without the other, right?
Correct.
There it is. And they wrote it down. Now, Mickey, do you remember where this particular screenshot came from?
Yes, this was from the 2019 stablecoin report. Well, we could post a link below the video.
Okay.
And this was written by XRP, Arrington Capital, Bloomberg, and a couple others, I believe. But that was the name that stood out to me the most.
That's fantastic.
And this is a fantastic document, and it's great because it gives you the blockchain crypto market side, but it also gives you the traditional monetary system as well.
Got it.
And it gives you both perspectives, and then it explains how they could, like this paragraph, how they could come together to, typically articles just talk about crypto, or they talk about just traditional markets. This document did both.
Absolutely. Okay, so now I think we got that covered. That if we're gonna see a change and the bringing in of something like XRP to help the monetary system, we understand now it's not just simply introducing it for cross-border payments. They need to introduce this and create a store of value out of it. And the way to do that is start transferring the debt from the traditional system and fiat onto the back of XRP. But they're really keeping it in a situation where they can keep the risk on the stable coins and currencies. It's pretty brilliant.
Clever.
It really is.
Very, very, very clever. And some could say that this could be the move to level the playing field that we've heard quite a lot recently, maybe.
Oh, look at what you just did. Look at what you just did. Because isn't that what this does, Mickey? Isn't that what this does, or no?
That is what it does, and this is why I think they're working with the IMF and they're working with the central bank.
Damn right.
Because they have the system to do it. IMF's not going to be able to do this on their own. They can't design a private protocols like this. This takes a collaborative effort of multiple startups, a global network of banks to all be working together to do this in coordination. Because if they try to do it without the government, it's going to collapse the system. The government's going to come and attack them. So they need to do it together.
Absolutely.
And I think that's what's going on right now behind the scenes.
A revolution comes from within, right, guys? It comes from within.
Absolutely.
We move on. Quick question before we move on. Do you know we talked about this decentralized, let's say, custody solution?
Yes.
Yeah. Could that potentially be, do you know, like we've had this forum where Brad Garlinghouse was presenting at the Swiss Bank and the IMF were present, BIS and stuff like that. And they were talking about controlling or issuing central bank digital currency, or controlling it. Is this potentially a way for the central banks to become the validators within the decentralized supposed network to actually control and, let's say, validation?
That's possible because there's the validators that are on the XRP ledger, which is going to control the reserve wallet, and then you got the Cosmos validations of the actual transaction, that USDX. So you have two validations going on. You have the XRP that's going in and out of the XRP reserve wallet, and then you have the transactions of USDX, which is going to be the Tendermint and Cosmos. So that's very confusing online to understand.
Yes.
But if anyone does want to, you could go on GitHub and look at the code, and they do explain an outline of how this all works, and it makes complete sense for what Lee is saying. And the central banks could be the validators. That would make sense. Or the regulators could be.
Yeah. Absolutely. Lee, go on this with the code. I know you want to go, I can tell.
Can we go there with the code? Have you got the snapshots of the code, Mickey?
Mm-hmm.
Can you share them, please?
This is fantastic, guys. This is fantastic what you guys are about to see with the code. I'm going to tell you, it's pretty...
What are you looking for? What I'm missing this here.
You know the GitHub code stuff that we were looking at, Mickey?
Well, which one?
The one with had certain writing in it? And take your time.
Okay, I got it right here. I got it.
Nope,
come on. Wait, I got it here.
Hold on here, guys. We're getting ready to
Hold on, this is good.
Oh, it is good.
It's
very good. So, guys, to set this up, this is the code with inside Kava.
I'm not
and
sure
GitHub,
exactly what that is, but that wording, I mean, says it right there.
Yeah.
Global debt and collateral state. I mean, that could apply to the protocol and how they use it, but, I mean...
Wow, man.
It's written all over the code. I mean, it's all different...
Pretty damn
it's
compelling.
All within there. It's fascinating.
It is fascinating. So this code came from GitHub, correct?
That's correct. On the Kava website about USDX.
Come on in. Come on in.
I got a coder to look at it as well, didn't I? And
yes.
He said it's for retail and commercial use as well.
So that's really compelling right there, isn't it, Lee? Isn't it?
Yeah, very compelling because I thought when we started talking about Kava and collateralized debt positions and stuff like that, I was like, yeah, the small man's going to get fucked again.
Exactly.
We're, you know what I mean? It's going to be institutions are only going to be gaining access to USDX. The rich get richer and the poor get poorer.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden we found out that the code is going to be for retail use as well. And it's set up for that, and we can buy into USDX as well.
Here we go, guys. Here's some more. I completely agree, Lee. I was blown away to find out that your man looked at it and said that was retail and institutional use. I was like, whoa, good news for everybody.
Yeah.
Okay, now look at these words, guys. Now, again, not to incite anybody, to be clear, you know, these words are pretty compelling, but we don't know what they mean, but they're all over this code.
All over.
I call. Well, come on. You're not going to put global debt in the code.
I know, right?
Right.
What else is it for? Right?
Why would you do it? It's like you wouldn't put Mickey Mouse in there if you're not going to watch a Disney film.
Yeah, buddy. It's pretty.
They're building it behind the scenes. You just don't know what's going on. The whole infrastructure and all this coding and protocols got to be ready to go before it actually happens. They're not going to tell us about it.
That's right. Now, Mickey, do you have
You're not going to hear about it.
Do you have the screenshot that has the 64 in the code?
Yes.
Because that's quite compelling too. I got to tell you. Now, guys, this is all in the same code for the GitHub Kava Labs USDX stuff. So, what'd that say? What does that say? What does that say? Well, damn.
Yeah, this is some testing coin that's all over the code in there.
That's incredible.
And they ran tests on this. You can look through GitHub, and there's a test ran on it. Another test ran on it. I mean, it just coordinates with the IMF doing the learning coin, which we've heard nothing about.
Right.
I don't know for sure, but it looks like it.
What's funny is
it's compelling.
Yeah, I know that they had mentioned the XRS, at one point, and I see that in parentheses. I see the USDX in parentheses, and all of it's based around the new International 64 coin. And I'm wondering, damn, are we sitting here?
Is the multi-sig, 64 multi-signatures.
64 multi-signatures, and the IMF, right? Is that what we're seeing in here?
It
or
says
INT?
New International.
New International 64 coin is what we're looking at here. Yeah, that's pretty damn compelling. I got to be honest with you. It's worth a deep look.
Can I throw a theory in it before we get carried away, yeah?
Go, Lee, run on it.
So the new International 64 coin could be, let's say, an IMF issued digital coin, which is XRP backed, but pegged to, let's say, potentially gold, which would work in collaboration with the BIS, maybe, or something like that. I don't know. My mind's going wild a little bit now because I'm getting carried away.
It's great. Let's go there. Go, Mickey. Go.
This could be the base. It's the underpinnings for what they're going to make an SDR with. I mean, it could go as far as they could make these stable coins for all different currencies, and then they could bring those all together. But more likely, what I think they're going to happen is they're going to use their reserves.
Right.
Instead of doing CDBCs, they're going to use those reserves to make versions of this, and that will be the backing of it. And it could be a basket, Well, that CBDCs are not the same as Tether and fiat-backed currency, because these are central banks' reserves. Okay. So they would take that's sitting in reserve, and then they would collateralize that.
Right, with XRP.
Possibly a basket. You would want to diversify it, so they could put XRP, BTC. They could put gold in there as well, tokenized gold. Why is everyone buying up all this gold? China, Russia.
Yeah.
I mean, there's something they're working towards, and this is the system that they're going to use, where a CBDC by itself as like a Tether type design, centralized and all that, is not going to work. But they can use the reserves that central banks have.
Got it. That's incredible.
What do you think about that, Lee?
Well, I'm just like the whole thing is just like absolutely mind-blowing that we could actually have a new international coin backed by a basket of currencies which XRP is going to be central of. That's basically what we're talking about here.
That's right.
There's things which are happening out there politically at the moment. Obviously, the China and Russia trade talks. We're looking at that and we're thinking, right, who owns most of the United States debt at this moment in time? It's China. How is that going to be paid back? I was thinking, yeah. And then obviously this come up as an option. I'm thinking this is a no-brainer, yeah. And then I've got thinking about when Russia come out and they're talking about issuing a gold-backed currency coin, a Russian gold-backed currency coin, and also an oil one as well. That's what they've been working on in the background for a while. And I think SBI have links in there as well to Russia, to that AN IRA.
Yes, they're involved with the Russian state-backed fund together with two Russian banks.
Yeah. Isn't it Fedor and something else? Not Fedor, that's the German one. I can't remember what it is. Alpha Bank?
No, one of them has the name SoftBank. No, not SoftBank. One of them is an SBI subsidiary, and they just own it in China, and then they invested in an actual, I think it's the third largest Russian bank. Okay. So they're involved with that, and then they also invested into the Russian state-backed fund that invests in other funds and other projects and other businesses and other companies and buys them up. So SBI is deep into Russia.
Okay.
So that's the way basically Russia are plugging into this system via SBI, basically. That's my theory.
Yeah.
Yes. We haven't heard much about that, but that is connected there. And that was actually signed in the presence of Putin and the Japanese Prime Minister. So that was a big deal when they invested in that fund, because basically it's Japan and Russia working together, and SBI is a private sector funding, and Japan also invested on a state level as well.
Got it. Okay, so let's should we go and talk about the what we got so far with the F and then it ends with a K and go to that place? What do you think, Lee? You cool with that?
I'm cool with that, man. I've been like waiting at the beginning of the video.
Can I kick it off, Brad? Because I want to explain why.
Yes. 100%.
All right. Well, let's explain. Well, basically, let's do the connections first.
Yeah, do it. And I'm going to close the window. I got too much light. Looks like I got jaundice. 1 second.
All right. Let's start with our friend here. Okay. So we have Ethan Beard, who is the head of Xspring. He worked for Google in the early 2000s. He was in charge of partnerships. He's launching big projects, integrations. Then in 2008, he moved over to Facebook. And over there, he was there for almost 10 years. And he was the senior, here we go, Facebook developer. And he was at Google, and he also dealt with derivatives at Bank of America. Now, there was a video of him in March talking about bringing on integration into Facebook Connect. And it was less than 2 weeks later, he's announced as the head of Xspring. And now all those projects are focusing on creating an ecosystem around this stablecoin. Now, what is it that Facebook needs? They need a stablecoin and a network.
Yep.
But what do they have that Ripple needs? 2.4 billion users on their platform to use that stablecoin.
Amen.
So it's not even about the connections. It's about the mutual benefits that they're both going to have. It's too obvious. And then you have Ashish Burla talking about Facebook constantly online.
Exactly.
And I mean, the benefits of both companies are mind-blowing. It's not even about speculating. It's that, Ripple needs the users to adopt this stablecoin.
Exactly.
And Facebook can't create a fiat-backed stablecoin. They keep writing in the articles. It's not going to happen. Circle's hands are tied, and their whole plans basically dissolved because of the U.S. regulations. Now, Facebook sees that, so they know they can't do it. So they send over Ethan Beard. So now he's going to go and fund all these startups to build the interoperability protocols, to build the e-commerce, where I think these companies are working on the back-end connections. Facebook's working on the front-end applications with their users into applications. People aren't going to actually go and buy XRP and then do it the way we see it and we're designing it here. Right. Facebook will have an app set up where they use their regular money and they buy USDX. But what's happening on the back end is they're actually buying XRP, which then goes and buys USDX and shoots it out to that.
Right.
Or Facebook just buys a boatload of XRP and runs it through.
So this is really massive on the sense too that because I'm building off of your point, Mickey. The 2.4 billion plus that are on the social platform Facebook, you could literally normalize crypto to people in about 6 months.
Yeah, to be fair, it's that will ramp up adoption super quick time. And what was quite interesting about it was the timing of obviously we were researching this. We've been doing this for a week, haven't we, guys? Yeah. Then obviously Facebook dropped that bombshell. Was it yesterday?
It was crazy.
We were like, fucking hell, is someone actually looking down on us or something?
I know.
Before we do our video, yeah.
I felt like
theorized about Facebook, and we thought we were talking about the suitability of it, and obviously Mickey B brought up the connections with Ethan and Xspring and everything like that as well. But it kind of made sense, and also Ripple actually, Ashish Burla come out and he talked about Facebook, didn't he? Yeah. There's actually an article. I don't know. Can you bring that up, Mickey, or have you got that? Because that article's dated only 2 weeks ago from Ashish Burla.
Yeah.
Which kind of just makes it all back together, kind of thing. You know what I mean?
It really does. It really does.
It really does. It's what Ashish Burla brought up and how he said it was important. He explained a problem that David Schwartz has said Ripple has faced with XRapid. It's not the conversion of XRP to fiat. It's getting the fiat off the exchange and to the bank in that corridor. Because fiat then still has to go over domestic payment rails at that point. So that's a struggle, where a stablecoin would fix that now. Because once it goes from the stablecoin to the exchange, it could go immediately to the bank, who would be already on the network and instantly transfer. There would be no going through domestic payment rails. And Facebook could establish that because they're going to need to go from the exchange to the banks.
Exactly.
And this is where they would help out, and it would be extremely beneficial to Ripple. But then Facebook could use all this networking, the whole Ripple net that's built already, which is designed for corporates like Facebook. This is why they're building this network.
Exactly, because we're just plugging into two giant, giants together, and you're going to have an enormous amount of liquidity just like that. Just like that.
It's not just Facebook. Got to remember WhatsApp. It's going to be as easy as sending a text message.
That's
Money's going to become that very soon.
That's
we've
right.
got to remember that there'll be people WhatsApp groups. If you owe your mate a tenner because he bought you a couple of beers down the pub when you forgot your wallet, let's say, you're going to send him a text message and that money is going to be delivered from your bank. That's going to be the interoperability option from your bank or your crypto wallet or something like that, straight direct into his account. Super app, man.
It is. Oh.
It's the killer app. E-commerce is the next thing. And I think that's what Facebook's going to try to go after, but they cannot do it on their own. There is no way they will be able to even get that off the ground. And the fact that they're so stealth and secretive, not saying anything about it, I mean, really makes you think. You would think they would want to build it up, start talking about it, gain adoption. You know, look at all the other companies. JPM hypes crap out of their coin. All of the other ones do, and they have nothing to show for it. But now you got a PolySign showing nothing in stealth mode, a Facebook with 2.4 billion users, which would blow crypto wide open if they did this. Not talk about it.
No, it's real. It's very real.
Wow. There's also something else in the article, Mickey, where it says actually Facebook came to create its own stable coin, yeah? So could we potentially be looking at the same a Facebook coin, which is pegged to this, let's say, the US dollar, which is back where we're suggesting this is potentially going, or USDX becoming the Facebook coin? What are we thinking here?
Yeah.
There's a lot of different options. That's what they're keeping tight-lipped about. But one thing we know is that this the collateral deposition system is built and it's ready to go, and it could create a coin for that. If it's USDX, if it's not, if it's backed with BTC2, there could be other reserves in there just to diversify. But they're calling it the global coin. I think they keep saying fiat backed. It's all smoke and mirrors.
Yeah.
All smoke and mirrors.
Yeah.
And then they got that they've been in discussions with Mark Carney at the Bank of America. And now, how did Ripple leave off last time after their proof of concept? It was to look into liquidity provisions.
Right. Well, there's certainly some liquidity provisions in 2 billion worth of people on a social media platform, isn't it?
Exactly. And there's a very interesting date on there as well. It says the first quarter of 2020.
How about that?
Mm-hmm.
In a year.
How about that?
And Carver have got an announcement coming shortly as well. Facebook have just announced this week.
It's pretty impressive, right? I mean, it's like it really is one of those things where you start really feeling like that larger narrative. Once we started going into this stuff collectively, guys, first of all, you know, for everybody watching the video, the synergy and the connection between all three of us is and fantastic. And Kurt, and we missing Kurt. He's busy, couldn't be here. I get it. He'll catch us on the next one when we do the Q&A. I'm sure he'll certainly be a part of that. His geopolitical vision is absolutely a great overlay to all of this information, and it'll be great to have him on it. But when we started working on all of this stuff, I mean, just the fireworks and light bulbs that go off to make you realize just what really is truly in play. And hell, we don't even know everything, you know? No. We don't even know everything, but this is obviously an entire new perspective to see about XRP, the creation of a store of value within it, by really transferring the debt from the traditional markets and fiat onto it. It's unbelievable, guys. Unbelievable.
It really is. It's mind-blowing. I mean, we never really looked into stable coins much. I mean, at least I did it as an XRP holder, because we always, you know, we're like, oh, XRP is a liquidity solution, you know, all this, that, you know, we'll maintain the volatility over time, and this and that. We never looked into stable coins. And now something like this comes along, it just changes everything.
It does.
Exactly.
It really does. Because it benefits XRP on top.
Totally.
Yeah.
And
also,
Lee, go ahead.
The timing of the Tether scandal as well. Don't you think that's a little bit off with this as well? I know I'm a conspiracy theorist, but do you know there's obviously all this stuff going on with Tether at the moment, and how Tether was created, and they haven't got the fiat to back it up, and they were some of the Tether and stuff like that. A real true stable coin.
Tether's going to leave a vacuum if they go under. They're going to leave a huge vacuum that's going to need to be, somebody's going to have to take that.
And prop it up, right?
For the whole market.
Tether is not really using the best use case for a stable coin, but it's all we've seen so far, and they dominate the market.
Right. What do you think? Let me ask you what will happen then. So what do you think the long-term implication is, basically, talking about how this model stablecoin pairs up to a Tether, let's say? What do you think happens there? Nothing? Something? Anything?
Well, I think it's as the markets get built out, as more market makers come on and liquidity, and there's more trading pairs, it needs to grow. So they need to kick it off and incentivize the market makers, and it would have to take the place of Tether. Tether already has those markets. If they fall, then people are going to look to go somewhere else into another stable coin.
Totally.
And if it's available, they're going to have to buy XRP first and then go into that stable coin.
So you see an environment where they both can live then?
There is an environment where they can live. I don't think Tether has a long-term future. I think they're going to slowly fade away because coins like USDX are going to come on the market and they're just superior in every way possible, and they're just going to take the market share slowly. And I think it's going to happen in the next couple of years.
I do too. I completely agree. Lee, what do you
but they
got
can
there?
coexist temporarily.
Yeah,
I remember we were theorising earlier on about the let's say, the grabbing of fiat currency, that it's not going to happen immediately. It's going to happen gradually because of the economic backlash that would have on the world economy if you just grabbed all the fiat in one hit. It's just not going to happen. And it's the same with Tether. It would have a negative impact on the markets. So again, what I think you're going to see as one grows, you're going to decrease the other, and it's going to slowly grab at that market piece by piece. Just like as we were saying about the liquidity as well, in terms of opening up the markets in each area of the world. I think we're going to see this with this as well. I think it's going to be slowly, organically grown, so it doesn't have that like shudder effect of a market. It's natural transition almost.
Yeah,
that's correct. And I want to add one more point to the peg.
Go ahead.
He said it's a soft peg.
Oh.
So as all this fiat moves into this, it could slowly migrate to a point where the reserve basket, say it's XRP and a couple other assets, actually becomes more stable than the actual fiat peg, and it could slowly migrate to that.
Absolutely.
So it's not set in stone with fiat, and that's how they could slowly just let that go.
Yeah, I'm glad you went back and touched on that because I know that's going to be a question for the audience. Go ahead, Lee.
Yeah.
And also, could it be that, for instance, because obviously we know how the central bankers work here. They love control, That's what we're about. They work together to control the world's economy, and they're not going to want to give up control of being able to print and create money. So do you think that basically when they grab up, let's say, the paper fiat money almost, you think, I know we're pretty much there digitally already, but do you think it's going to be like a reissuance of like country's currency, which is a digital version of that?
It would be. You would, depending on how much debt you have. So the countries that have more debt have to collateralize more of it.
Right.
So when you're just transferring the value, you're really not destroying it, but you're making it more efficient.
So
you're opening up more utility to it. Go all around the world. It's going to boost the whole economic system.
Exactly. And if I could build on both your points too, it really does. I say it on the show all the time. It ain't money unless everyone agrees that it's money.
Exactly. And there's a transparency aspect as well.
That's right. And the other aspect of this I want to point out is that escrow, and how we all know that they're pre-allocated contractually, and that these countries have already signed on, these banks have already signed on for the projected level of debt they're going to need to carry and transfer on their books. And the truth is that stuff's already, when it comes off market, I guess it's going to happen so quick our head will spin. You know what I mean? Because then you're talking about, like what you said earlier, Lee, this is going to create scarcity on the market because these things are pulled off spoken for because they're leveraging debt. Right?
100%. And the thing is, what happen with when Argentina get bailed out, they don't just get a bailout for nothing.
Right.
What they do, they go after their assets. So the BIS will store the gold on behalf of the IMF, so they've collateralized their gold debt position.
Yeah.
And it's the same with Greece. That's what they do. They force the economies into debt so they can get a hold of their assets. The same happening in Zimbabwe at the moment with the Zim dollar and the reissuing of their currency. They've got the most unmined gold in the world. And these, like, let's say these, I don't know, crows, or they're circling around Zimbabwe because they know the money's there. Putin's meeting up with them. Oh, I want to be your mess mate. Bloody Trump's putting sanctions on them to prevent them being able to mine it so they can get the American companies to plug in.
Yep.
The Rothschilds have got mining companies over in Zimbabwe. So you can see where this is going. If they make money off of debt, and the world's always going to be in debt, but it's just a different way of collateralizing that debt position.
That's right.
Exactly. That was a great explanation.
Absolutely. I imagine it. I liken exactly what you broke down to if they just found a new commodity in the ground that was gold and oil combined. Hey, guys, look what I found. We can hang the world's debt off this new shit. You know what I mean? It's
pretty much
unbelievable, man. It's absolutely incredible. It's really incredible. All right, guys. So I think we're getting close to a wrap here, are we not?
Yeah, we're coming to about the end. I mean, we pretty much moved through all the topics.
Yeah.
One we're missing.
Yes.
Poly-sci. How does that?
Yeah. All right.
Boom.
All right.
There's your big finish. Bring it in for the big win, Mickey B.
All right. So with PolySign, which has been in stealth mode, now I asked the CEO of Kava, and I asked him, is there going to be some type of custody solution integrated into this? And he kind of got offended, and he adamantly said this is a decentralized, I'm going to look for the photo, network, and you don't need a central party getting involved.
Yeah.
So what we're thinking is that PolySign is more of a decentralized custodian protocol that's going to be able to link in and connect with an API.
Right.
And it's not going to be a traditional institutional custody solution like that. It's going to be very different. Right. And they're going to play a big role in this.
Yeah, it seems like they're set up to cover the fragmentation of what all of this innovation is going to cause, is it not? That's what it does seem like there.
That's correct.
Does PolySign become the decentralized network?
There you go, Lee. Say that again.
Well, does PolySign, obviously we need this decentralized custodianship of that XRP. Is PolySign that? I don't know.
I think it is.
Mickey B. and Lee just laid it out. He asked the question, is PolySign the decentralized custodian for the new Internet of Value, basically? That's what it seems like.
And it's by institutions, yeah. I think.
That seems like, I mean, that is incredible to me. I mean, that is incredible. Mickey, what do you got on that?
It's also going to be able to connect in with that reserve wallet back there.
Okay.
And, I mean, what PolySign shows on their website is pretty amazing. So here's the symbol for USDX. Right? This is the symbol. USDX. It's two. You could explain it, Lee.
No, you explain it. Go on, please.
Okay. So what it looks like is it's a 3D image of two squares on top of each other turned. Right? That's what I'm seeing. Absolutely. If you look at the 3D,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You see that? Okay.
I'm with you.
All right. Now, let's go to PolySign.
Uh-oh.
Fire!
Run! Yeah. Oh, this is gonna be good. I love it. I love seeing it every time. It feels brand new. Yeah.
See that, guys? Yeah.
Damn right. Mic drop.
Boom.
Boom. Well, look at that.
In the corner, hiding.
Well, look at that.
What is that?
What is that?
And you can see to the right down here that X is the XRP ledger. So they've already shown that they use symbols above the different structures.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And there's an X above this, and then there's two squares above each other in the corner.
It's incredible.
It's amazing.
It really is. The crane. The crane, I swear to God, looks like the Ripple's logo, for God's sakes. If I'm just looking.
Yeah, so that you're correct, yep.
That's remarkable.
But what did we say that card was in the wall as well? What did we suggest that? I can't remember now.
Is that
There's
the
another
US?
symbol in the front left, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think weren't we talking about some kind of switching or something like that? But it's just something vague in the back of my memory. It could be irrelevant.
It was cut off on that picture here. It's not that.
But that's massive.
I don't have that picture.
That's all right. It's all right, Mickey.
It's all good.
In terms of, it's very clearly that USDX logo in my mind, yeah? You've got that PolySign logo, you've got the XRP ledger, and Brad pointed out that do you know the crane which was holding up the PolySign was clearly a Ripple logo as well, in my mind as well, yeah?
Looks like it.
So it's like a connector between PolySign, USDX, and the XRP ledger.
Yeah.
That's how it looks in my mind on that. I don't know. I'm going mad. Yeah. I might need to get some in my office here. I might need to get some swords.
There it is.
In the corner down there. It's two arrows. They go up and down.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's right. And there's obviously Bitcoin there. There's the bank. And then obviously it looks like, let's say, a switching logo almost in that bottom left.
That could be Kava. That could be Kava's thing, where it's able to switch from one currency to the other. It's like a decentralized it's a market maker on the decentralized on ILP.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that might be it, Lee. Because that's what Kava's doing. They're building their liquidity solutions and the market maker. They're going to be a market maker.
Absolutely,
but
they're going to be a market maker.
Decentralized one, where it's not a traditional, centralized order book where they control. It's going to be able to swap back and forth and provide liquidity, but no one entity is going to be in control of it.
Right.
100%.
Which is remarkable that you brought that up again, by the way, because
that's Kava. It has to be.
Yeah.
It's got to be Kava. And if you switch that arrow around the other way, what letter would that make up?
Okay, baby. You come on in. Damn right.
Come on in.
Come on in. Guys, this is fantastic. Look, I think we're there, right?
Wow.
Is there anything else?
I think we touched on everything.
Yeah, I think that's everything. Okay, so,
There
all right,
were
guys.
some details we left out about the inner workings of the collateralized debt. We didn't go everywhere because we don't know everything, and I don't want to even speculate because you don't need to know everything. We just need to know the impact of it and just wait for more information. And as it comes, we'll be able to figure out where this is going. So now you have a basic understanding of what this could do and how it's connected with everything else Ripple is doing, which Spring's doing. You could understand the information as it's released and apply it to what you know. And I think that's what the best way to look at XRP. Not try to make price predictions, not do this. Just observe everything, take it in, and then, use that towards the next thing that comes out. And then build up, and not just hope for, I'm not a fan of the price prediction thing.
No, not at all. Nobody needs to do that. Lee, any final thoughts you want to throw in?
I just want to recap to basically what we're theorising here is we really do feel that this is the creation of XPOL. And XPOL isn't one thing. It's a creation of multiple things because XPOL is that big. That's why it cannot be spoken about because it's being built as we speak. And it's so important to the world's economy that there's so many moving pieces that are getting moved around and created as we speak. And there's so many people who we've got to rely upon to be able to build into that system. But that's what this is what we're theorising this possibly could be, and it would make sense.
Absolutely. I agree. Guys, I want to throw a final thought in here too, and I'm going to echo the same sentiment. I believe we are seeing the first, like you guys just mentioned, I believe we're seeing the first X pool be made right before our eyes. I think this is one of the first big, large pieces of the framework of the new international monetary system that we're looking at here. And I really believe that as we go forward, I think one of the big things is as this goes, if this goes the way they want it to, I mean, let's face it, it's going to. They're going to plug into a social media entity like the likes of Facebook, right? Just as one example, not to mention all the banks and all the entities that will want to collateralize against, XRP to be able to get themselves going again. This to me is absolutely remarkable. And look, as much as the information's been remarkable, working with all of you, Kurt included, our brother Kurt included, has been an absolute joy for me. I'm excited. I'm enthusiastic. I want to keep doing this kind of collaboration with all of you guys because it's so much fun, and you guys are just incredibly bright. I mean, it's like you got to have your A game together to sit down in a room with you guys. You're smart. You know what I mean? So I want to thank each and every one of you. And on our way out of here, guys, I'll have to hit the M bumper and all that. So make sure we don't make any sounds. But I want to thank everybody for being here and remind everybody watching this video what Mickey B said a minute ago. We don't need to know everything in detail about how it's going to happen. We don't know everything in detail about how it's going to happen. But we do have a clearer understanding about the broad path that XRP is currently on that we didn't have yesterday. And that's the big thing we wanted to bring to everybody out here in the audience. So thank you to everybody for being here. And I'm going to hit this bumper real quick. You guys hang tight and I will hit you up. Until then, take care, guys. Oh, and remember, we're going to be doing a Q&A on SPQR Media's channel, follow up on all of this stuff, and we'll see if we can't get a guest or two, maybe if we can, to join us. We'll see. It's in the air. But we'll put it out there, right? Until then, thank you to each and every one of you guys. You are my XRP
Thank
brothers.
you, Brad.
Thank you guys so much. And hang tight. We'll talk once we get done spinning the intro.